Today, for the inaugural episode of Strange Things from My Childhood, I want to talk about Arcade America. Arcade America is a platform game released for the PC back in 1996. Right from the get-go, this game is strange. Here is the basic plot. You play as Joey, an overweight young man whose main attacks are his slingshot and his own belly. He lives with a group of monsters, and together they form a band called Joey and the Monsters. At the beginning of the game, they get a call to perform at Woodstock, which they are all very excited about. The day of the concert, Joey, who we find out is a very heavy sleeper, is fast asleep and the monsters cannot wake him up. In a last-ditch attempt to wake him up, and also because one of the monsters is obsessed with explosives, they decide to blow up the house. Surprisingly, this doesn't kill Joey and the monsters, but instead works flawlessly. Well, okay, not entirely flawlessly, as the blast shoots the monsters across the country. Joey, who is now wide awake and also has no house, must make his way across the country from his home in California to Woodstock, stopping at various places across the country to pick up the members of his band. The premise alone is strange. The gameplay itself, from what I can remember, is actually pretty standard. Each level consists of two sections. A driving section where you have to switch between lanes to avoid obstacles and pick up various objects to help you along your way, and the main platforming section, which usually consists of pretty standard 2D platforming, but occasionally has more of a top-down view a la Legend of Zelda. What made these sections strange was definitely the visuals. Each level is a caricature of the place it represents. For example, you fight literal ghosts at Alcatraz and they're all prisoners. Miami is one of those top-down levels and it's a literal swamp. The Grand Canyon has donkeys that you need to kick you across to various different parts of the level. And those are just a few examples. Each and every level was unique, creative, and above all, very strange. So with that all wrapped up, I'm going to go play a part of the game and then come back and give my final thoughts.
One eternity later.
So as I mentioned when I introduced this project, I did not play the entire game. Mostly because I just didn't have time. This video needs to be out tomorrow as I'm filming. Or I guess it doesn't need to be out tomorrow, but if it's not out tomorrow, then I need to come up with another video to post tomorrow. So either way, I decided to just only play just a few levels of the game. But I do think that it's enough for me to form my final opinion. I still really enjoyed this game. I enjoyed it enough that I am planning on actually trying to finish up the game. Because fun fact, little Jeffrey never actually finished this game. I don't know if it's just because I lost interest or just got distracted by other things, but I know that I never actually completed this game. And I would be curious to see just how exactly this game ends. So at some point I am going to finish it. Maybe I'll make a follow-up video then. I don't know. But that's not really what this video is about. So yes, I really like this game, and it is definitely as strange as I remembered. I have to give huge props to the creative team behind this game because, again, the visuals are just incredible. So much creativity went into the creation of each of these levels. Even the driving levels have a lot of creativity to them, despite the fact that it's the same screen of you switching lanes, but the obstacles changes based on where you happen to be going. I remember when I was looking up this game online to see if there was a place where I could play it, I came across some reviews that call the game unoriginal. Not about the style and the animation necessarily, but just about the gameplay itself. And I honestly think that's a weird criticism and a weird thing to knock the game for, because, I mean, it's a platformer. Now I love platformers, and I played a lot of them, but a lot of them do have the exact same gameplay because that's how platformers work. So while I guess technically speaking, the platform aspect is very similar to a lot of platform games, I don't think that's enough to criticize the game for. It's just a weird criticism, and I honestly think that the visuals of this game easily make up for any shortcomings that might come from the gameplay itself. And again, I don't think there is actually any shortcomings in the gameplay itself. I think there is also some unique elements to the gameplays that I feel like these people who reviewed it just kind of overlooked. So the next question that I'm going to ask is, does this game ultimately hold up? And the answer is, I think so. So I know that with a lot of older stuff, I think especially from the 90s, there was a lot of fat-phobic material. So a lot of humor centered around making fun of plus-sized individuals. And, as I mentioned earlier in the video, our main character is a plus-sized individual whose main melee attack is attacking enemies with his belly. So I think it could have been problematic in the same way that a lot of media was toward plus-sized individuals. However, I don't think this game actually leans into that humor. And while, yes, Joey is attacking people with his belly, it's never used as a joke. If Joey is made fun of for anything in this game, it's maybe that he's a little too gross, and maybe that he's weirdly laid back but still given to bouts of yelling. But honestly, unless I miss something, or unless something comes later in the game, which is certainly possible, this game doesn't make fun of Joey for his weight. And I think that honestly makes all the difference in the world. So yes, I do think that this game holds up. I can freely understand why this game may not be for everybody. It's very bizarre, it's very surreal, and there's a number of just really gross humor that comes up, something that I had kind of forgotten about when I was recollecting the game. I don't think it's too much, like, I'm fine with it, but I can see how it can be a lot for other people. Although, interestingly, again, all of the reviews that I came across were just complaining about how unoriginal the gameplay is, so I guess it didn't bother them either. Regardless, this is a game that I still very much enjoyed. And I have to say, before we even got to the title screen, like before you could start a new game, as soon as the intro started up, I was hit with a wave of nostalgia. And nostalgia can only go so far. Like, I watched Cats and Dogs more recently, and I loved that movie as a child, and now I don't anymore. But this game very much still holds up to me, and I think ultimately holds up to the test of time as well. If you want to check this game out for yourself and come to your own conclusions, I've left a link down in the doobly-doo to the website where I went to download it. And with all of that being said, I will see all of you tomorrow.